Miko's back was still against the wall, both her wrists caught in Ronan's grip. They stood close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath. The silence between them felt heavy. She tilted her head slightly, her lips curving in a teasing smile despite the situation. So, she said softly, raising an eyebrow, "What are you going to do?" Arunan's eyes darkened at her tone. For a moment, he just stared at her as if deciding something. And suddenly, he pulled her away from the wall. Nico gasped as the world spun for a second before her back hit something soft, the bed. Before she could react, Ronan was leaning over her, one arm braced beside her. Her heart began beating faster. "What? I thought you wanted to see what I would do." Ronan murmured. Nico glared up at him, trying to push him away. "If you don't move right now," she warned, half serious and half teasing, "I'm going to scream." Ronan's eyebrow lifted slightly. "Are you?" "Yes." For a second, they simply stared at each other. Then Ronan quickly covered her mouth with his hand. "Go ahead," he said calmly. "Try." Miko's eyes flashed with annoyance. Without warning, she bit his hand hard. Ronan inhaled sharply, pulling his hand back instantly. "You," Miko said quickly, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. "Serves you right," she snapped. Ronan stared at his hand for a second before looking back at her. Instead of anger, a low, amused chuckle escaped him. "You bite," he said slowly. Miko crossed her arms defensively. "You deserve it." Ronan stepped a little closer again, his gaze intense but strangely entertained. "Breaking into my room," he said calmly, "trying to steal my key, and now biting me." He looked down at her with a faint smirk. Miko rolled her eyes. "Stay away from me, and you will not be safe." Ronan stepped closer again. She immediately leaned back, slightly on the bed. "What now?" she said cautiously. But Ronan did not answer. He placed one knee on the bed and then leaned over her again, his shadow falling across her face. The moonlight behind him made his expression darker, more intense. Miko's heart skipped. "You are not scared," he said quietly, studying her eyes. "Should I be?" she replied. For a moment, neither of them moved. Runan's gaze slowly dropped to her lips. Miko noticed. Her breath caught slightly. He leaned closer. Their faces were only inches apart now. Just as Ruin was about to close the distance. Knock, knock. Both of them froze. A guard's voice came from outside the door. "Sir, is everything all right? We heard some noise." Ronan muttered something under his breath. Without wasting another second, he grabbed the blanket from the bed and quickly pulled Vigo down beside him. "What are you?" she whispered. "Quiet," he hissed. Before she could react, he pulled the blanket over both of them, hiding her completely. Miko's eyes widened in shock as she found herself half trapped under the cover with a knock. "Sir!" Ronan quickly ran a hand through his hair, making his voice sound calm. "Everything is fine," he said toward the door. "Go back to your post." There was a small pause outside. "Yes, sir." Footsteps slowly faded away in the hallway. Under the blanket, Miko glared at Ronan in the dim darkness. "Get off," she whispered angrily. Under the blanket, Miko pushed it away sharply and sat up on the bed, clearly annoyed. Ronan leaned back slightly against the headboard, watching her reaction with a quiet amusement. "You are unbelievable," she muttered. Before he could reply, Miko suddenly climbed over him in irritation, her knee landing on the bed beside her waist, and she leaned closer, glaring down at him. "This is your brilliant security system," she said sarcastically. "Kidnap the girl, trap her in your house, and then hide her under a blanket when someone knocks." Ronan raised an eyebrow, clearly entertained. "You broke into my room. he reminded calmly. Oh, please, she scoffed. If you're scared of your own guards finding a girl in your bed, maybe don't kidnap her. For a second, Rowan simply looked at her. Then suddenly, his hand moved to her waist. Miko froze as he pulled her slightly closer before she could react. Their faces were inches apart again. Tunan's gaze darkened slightly, but there was something curious in it now. You are fearless, he said quietly. Miko narrowed her eyes at him. Runing's lips curved faintly, just like your dad. The words hit her unexpectedly. For a brief second, confusion flickered across her face. Before she could question it, Ronan released her. Miko quickly climbed off the bed, clearly irritated again. Next time, she muttered while walking toward the door. Lock your bedroom properly. Ronan watched her the whole time. Without another word, Miko stepped out and walked down the dark hallway toward her room. The door closed behind her. Back in the room, Ronan leaned back against the headboard again, staring at the door she had just walked through. A slow, thoughtful smile appeared on his face. Morning sunlight spread softly across the mansion in the large dining hall. The long table was already prepared. Plates, coffee, and fresh fruit were neatly arranged. Ronan sat at the head of the table, calmly drinking his coffee. His eyes moved through the empty chair across from him. Miko did not come, he asked. Guard shook his head. No, boss, I knocked, but she did not open the door. Ronan signed quietly and placed the cup down. I will go. A few moments later, he stood outside her room. A few moments later, he stood outside her room. The door was slightly open. Ronan pushed it gently. Miko was still asleep on the bed, curled up in the blanket, her hair messy across the pillow. He frowned slightly, sleeping like nothing happened, he muttered. He walked closer to the bed and lightly tapped the side of it. Miko. No response. Miko, wake up. She groaned softly and turned to the other side, pulling the blanket over her head. I'm not hungry. Her sleepy voice mumbled. Ronan crossed his arms. You did not even see the food. Still not hungry. Ronan shook his head. Fine. Before she could react, he lifted her in his arms.